Hi guys, it's April and I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 6A, and we are about 6 weeks out from our last frost date. Our last frost date is usually around... Yeah, you're gonna help? I don't know how this is gonna go because she's being clingy today, but I think I was talking about our last frost date. It's usually around the end of April. And so I am going to be starting out my spinach. I absolutely love spinach, and for the first time last year, I started spinach indoors, and I was so excited at the amount of harvest I was able to get because I had such an early start on this. So I'm gonna do that again this year. I have about 4 different varieties of spinach that I'm going to be planting out. So we've got that, but I'm also gonna be trying something a little different this year, and I'm gonna be doing my herbs as well. So normally I do my herbs after I do my tomatoes. So I'm about 2 weeks earlier than I normally do my herbs. I usually wait until I'm about a month out from my last frost date. But because there's so many cool season herbs that I want to do, like the dill and the cilantro, I wanted to try doing it a little earlier this year. I have the time and I have the space, so I can baby these guys. So I'm gonna do it. So I have all of the 2.5-inch pots ready to go. I'm going to see if I can get the cat to settle down, and then I will show you all of the different varieties that I am planning on starting today. So I do not know how much of that audio is actually going to be usable of my intro with the cat being as loving as she was. So I apologize for the sound quality or whatever just happened. But like I said, I'm going to be starting my spinach and my herbs. So I've got these 3 rows that I'm going to do for my spinach, and the rest are going to be all of the herbs. I'm going to do 3 pots of each variety of spinach, and I think that's where I want to start. I believe I mentioned that we are about 6 weeks out from our last frost date. These guys will probably get planted out in 3 or so weeks, maybe even 4, depending on how the weather goes. And the first one I've got, this is the Anna spinach. Let's see. I'm gonna just rough this up a little bit. Sprinkle those around a little bit. Then press those down. And I'll mostly use the vermiculite to really bury those. And all of that was the Anna. Next up is the dark side spinach. You can't really tell much from this packaging. I'm going to do the exact same thing. And I'm probably being a little more aggressive with how many I put in each pot than I should be, but all of these seeds I have had for quite a while. The dark side. Next up is the space spinach. This is a hybrid. And then the last spinach I've got is the winter Bloomsdale spinach. And that is the spinach done. There we go. Which means we get to start on the herbs. The first herbs I'm going to do is going to be the basil. So I have this large leaf basil. And I've got a lot of varieties of basil where the leaves are larger, because I want to try some recipes where you use basil in place of lettuce. Lightly rough up the surface and then just sprinkle these. Not even gonna pat that down like I did the other one. Just gonna leave it roughed and then let the vermiculite and the spray flatten that down. So that was the large leaf. And then this one, you can't really see anything on it, but this is the lettuce leaf, which is, like I said, another one of those large leaf basils. And I have a second lettuce leaf, and here you've got a picture so you can see what I'm talking about right there. The next one is a dark purple opal basil. I think this is one of 2 purple basils that I have. And I like to have some purple in the mix just because of, you know, it changes the flavor a little bit, but it also gives it visually something different. I have never met a basil I did not like. Let me just put it that way. This is the Elindia. I think that's how you say that. You know, I don't even remember what this one looks like. There was a reason I bought it at one point, but we've gotten to that point where I don't remember why. Here's that other purple basil I was talking about, but this is a ruffle leaf basil. So you get both the purple leaves and that fun ruffly look. And at some point, depending on how many of these germinate, I might actually split these out. But the last basil I have is a lemon basil. Okay, next up is a new one, and this is the Delfino cilantro. It's not a traditional looking cilantro. It's got more of that like seaweed kind of look. And because this is new to me and I'm really excited about it, I'm actually gonna plant up 2 different pots because I really want this to have a chance to do its thing. Once again, I'm just gonna kind of rough the surface area. I'm going to do about 4 or 5 each of these and just kind of rough them all back in. So that was the Delfinio. Or Delfino, however you want to say that. And then I have a slow bolt cilantro. I've been experimenting with this one to see how long into the summer I can still get cilantro. Oops, that one fell into the wrong pot. Excuse me, Mr. Seed. I did mention that I do have a lot of this that is just self-seeded itself at this point. I'm not being super aggressive with these seeds. And sometimes you just never know. And so I just want to have backups just in case. Okay, that's a slow bolt. The last cilantro I have is this Cruiser hybrid cilantro. And this is another variety of cilantro that's supposed to be a little harder to get to bolt so that you have more time to actually use it. At least in its leaf form. Which means I now have the thyme. This one is an orange thyme. This is another one that's gonna have a smaller seed, so I'm just gonna rough the soil, sprinkle it down, and then not do anything. I don't even know how much I have left of this. I don't think I have a whole ton. I might just use this whole pack. There we go. I have an orange thyme and I have an orange jello. So like I gotta make sure I do the right. Oh, did I just, nope, I put it on the wrong container. Hold on. There we go. So I have to make sure that if I want to keep track of how well things are doing, getting the labels right, because like I said, I have this orange jello thyme, which is probably pretty much the same thing. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind getting soil on my hands. It's just when you're working with seeds this small, if I have any kind of moisture, they're just gonna get stuck. And that is the last thing I want to happen. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna use up all these seeds too. If I can get them out. Oh, I hate when they put them in plastic because it's static. Makes it nearly impossible to get those seeds out. Next up is the mandarin. I don't know. It's an orange kind of citrusy lemon balm. Oh, maybe. There's like 5 seeds in here, but they're just like clinging to the sides. Just gonna rip it. That was a little more dramatic than I wanted that to be. And then I also have a limoncello bee balm. And part of my gut is saying I'm probably gonna use all of these seeds, because I think there's only so many seeds in each of these packets and they're so small, so they usually only last me about 2 plantings. Yeah. I mean, I get why they put them in these packets, but holy bejeebers, it's so hard to get the seeds out. Hopefully I didn't get those into any of the other pots, but yeah, who knows. Next up is the stevia, and because I want a good amount of this, I'm gonna do 2 different pots of this. I think I can do it with just 1 packet, but there's usually not a lot of seeds in each of these packets, so we'll see. I do have 2 more packets of those seeds, but I'm not going to use them today. So that was the stevia. I have 3 pots left and only 2. Did I miscount somewhere? Well, next up is the elephant dill. It's not really much to look at packet-wise. I'm just trying to figure out where my count got off. I did this like 3 times trying to figure out, you know, what all would fit in just 1 tray. Because the last one I have is some cumin. Yeah, because we've got basil up to there. Well, I don't know what to do with that last pot. I could do another basil, because you can never have too many basil. I have some self-saved basil seeds. Maybe this is a good chance to try that, because apparently my maths are a little off today. Fun part is getting anything that actually looks like a seed, because a lot of this is just husk. I couldn't even tell you what kind of basil plant this was from. So it'd probably be easier if I did this in like a container or on a plate or something. I don't have a label for that one, but I think that's okay, because if it does actually start to come up, you can just tell by the smell of the plant. So let me clean all of this up, and then I will get the vermiculite for the top. Now, a good chunk of these are smaller seeds and need a bit of light to germinate. So this isn't gonna go on a heat mat, especially because of the spinach and the cilantro, but it is gonna go directly underneath the light. I don't think I've got any of these seeds that need darkness to germinate, but I might have to double check that. Supposedly, cilantro is supposed to have darkness to germinate, but I've never done that, and it's always germinated just fine for me. But I put a little more vermiculite on all of those just in case, but otherwise I'm gonna do it how I always do it. So they're sitting here underneath the light. They have the heat kind of being generated from all of these light sources. But I'm gonna go around and show you where all of the plants are right now. You got a little sneak peek at them at the beginning when I was doing Fertilizer Friday, because that's the only way I can remember to fertilize my seedlings. Thank you, Flower Hill Farm. But let me show you all of the other starts. Top, we have the paper daisies and the Livingston daisies. I'm probably gonna pot up the Livingston probably this weekend at some point because they're looking ready for it. And then here we have the Sweet Williams, some straw flower, and I think the foxglove in the back there. Of course, you saw me plant all of those. And then we are left with the bunching onions, the garlic, and the hollyhocks. I still haven't gotten the one pink variety of hollyhocks to even germinate. And I think it's the Fiesta Time, if I remember correctly. Over here, we have a whole tray of straw flowers that are looking really good. And then below it is the lettuce. We have been eating salads like crazy off of these. They even got some outside time earlier this week because we were hitting like 70, 80 degrees. We're back down to 34. But we were up there for a little while. And then we've got this tangled jungle of bulbing onions. And can you believe that I have trimmed these and they're now back to this tall? So they're gonna need another trimming at some point. Then here in the game room, I still have both trays of peppers attempting to germinate. I accidentally forgot to turn that mat on last time. So those ones probably gonna take a little longer than normal to germinate. I caught it a couple days ago and have since turned it on. But these are, yeah, see, it's the Fiesta Time hollyhocks that haven't germinated, or any of the Black-Eyed Susan. I might have to give up on these guys and just call it at this point. Maybe I'll have some Fiesta Time that self-seeded. But the cabbage is looking really good, along with the bok choy. I'm excited about those. Next to it, we've got some of the coleus. We've got, I'm trying to remember. I think this one is the echinacea. And then there is, in the back there, some of the agastache. And then finally, we do have some peppers that have germinated. All of them are the sweet peppers because, like I said, I forgot to turn the mat on for the hot peppers. All of that means that next week, tomato plants. I'm excited to show you all the different varieties of tomatoes that I'm planning on planting. I'm gonna do a different grouping of tomatoes every single day next week. I'm gonna actually start out Monday with eggplants, and then I think I'm gonna do the dwarfs, and then the Roma, the slicers, and then the snackers. So I hope you guys join me for what I am lovingly calling Tomato Fest. The name is probably taken, but it's going to be my Tomato Fest. And I am starting to do a lot of cleanup out in the garden. I'm cleaning up the beds. I'm gonna be topping a lot of them off with compost. And then I'm gonna be cleaning up some of my decorative beds as well. Start filling pots because next month we start planting, and I'm excited. So if you want to join me on this gardening journey that I am on, feel free to subscribe down below and hit that bell. Get all the notifications if you haven't. I also have an Instagram and Threads account that I like to keep up to date here and there with some of the other shenanigans I'm doing centered around the garden, so you can check that out as well. But I do hope I will see you guys again in another video, and I would love to hear where you guys are at with your garden and our beautiful faces. Bye.